Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
What is it like to watch a horror movie in a haunted house? Then we take a look at a story of something people usually find delicious, sourdough bread. But this sourdough bread recipe may carry a curse. The curse of the mummy. You're like, Jason, we read that article. Well, yeah, I know. Probably a lot of people did. I just think it's gross. And then, speaking of gross, a wise poet once said, I love big butts and I cannot lie. But what about the people who love butts not just because of their shape, but because of what they do? And if you think it's a poop fetish segment, it's not. Somehow, it's even worse. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day too. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. We got a ton of stuff to cover today. So first off, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Everyone get on your feet and give it up for Bull Balls. Woohoo! Yeah, wee! Yeah, running on into Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Dangling perilously close to your face. Not mine. I'm standing up. For some reason, you decided to lay on the ground this episode. Bull Balls recently got me a portable DVD player off my Amazon wish list, which I do use. I watch movies as I go to sleep. So I really appreciate that. You use a laptop like a normal person. I like director's commentary, and you don't really find that on streaming. I have a huge collection of DVDs to watch commentary. So Bull Balls, I really appreciate the gift. I know I gave you a shout out before, but I like to give all the people 2 shout outs when I can. Bull Balls, that's why you're going to be our captain or pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially or purchase things off the Amazon wish list, it's totally fine. It really is. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. And I gotta be honest though, Bull Balls, I do really appreciate the gift. But every so often when I am doing an episode that might be particularly disgusting, every so often, I have to use a Patreon or someone who's promoting the show or bought merch as a sacrificial lamb, or in your case, a sacrificial balls. I need someone to pilot these vehicles, and trust me, the second story is disgusting, and I feel really bad for whoever is our guest tomorrow's episode. Bull Balls, let's go ahead and toss you a harness and hook you up, you, because you're a bull, to the Carpenter Chariot. Everyone climb on board this great Roman vehicle as Bull Balls gallops his way out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command, all the way out to Hood River. Hiya! 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 Like when the Googie Monsters show up? No, that's the sound of the wheels turning in the dirt, the big metal wheels. We're headed all the way out to Hood River, Oregon. This story happened to me. It's very short, but it just happened last night. Very interesting. So, longtime listeners of the show know my friend Sabine's house is haunted. I'll put some of those episodes in the show notes. I've experienced paranormal activity there. She's experienced paranormal activity there. She's lived there for probably, I think, 20 years at this point. And it's haunted. It's not like maybe it's haunted. It's definitely haunted. I'll put those episodes in the show notes. It also has some other really odd qualities. So it's funny because I get it. I'm a paranormal researcher. I should be interacting with this stuff. I should be investigating it. I also don't do a lot of like medium work or Ouija boards or anything like that. So I have to go off what I can observe, which is the most reliable for me. The second one is what I feel, which, I mean, I'm a scaredy cat, so I can kind of feel scared anyways, pretty much everywhere. And then, you know, stuff like recording empty air to see if I can get EVPs and stuff like that. So she doesn't want me to investigate her house, and that's totally fine, right? Because I'm sitting there, I was like, set the tape recorder up, it's all, get out. And I was like, I'll check the audio later. Go back home, next thing she knows, she's getting throttled by a ghost. I totally get where she's coming from. The house is haunted, though. And one of the things I've had to do is change my behavior when I'm over there. I make a comment, I get bonked on the head by a floating coffee cup. No, nothing like that. It's not that the ghosts think I'm rude. I love to watch horror movies. I'll start any horror movie. Whether or not I finish it is dependent on the quality or if the story's interesting or whatever. But a lot of times I don't even read the descriptions. I'll just put it in. It's a it's a picture of a skull on the cover. I'm in, and then I find out it's some anthropology documentary. I'm like, no. But when I usually watch them late at night. But when I'm over at her house, I can't do that. I can't watch horror movies because I feel really, really creeped out. So I'll usually watch a sci-fi movie or something on Amazon Prime or Tubi or something like that. But, because I watch more horror than anything, I usually will at some point go, that picture looks interesting. That cover has 2 skulls on it. I'm sold. Sometimes I do look at the description. I go, that sounds really intriguing. So I'll start watching it over at her house. And she's long in bed. I'm staying awake in the living room. And I start to feel uneasy. And then, sometimes it's the movie. Actually, let me back up here. I first realized this was an issue because I would research stories over there. I'd stay up late and I'd put on random YouTube videos while I'm reading just countless pages of stories so, we can do a show. And I like reading the stuff anyways, but... And I would get really creeped out. Stories that were just kind of normally kind of unsettling. Not fiction stories, like I'm looking for real-life accounts. They were extra creepy when I read them at her house. That was actually the first thing I picked up on. Because I stay up late at my place reading these stories until 2, 3 in the morning sometimes. Her place had felt creepier. And I go, I think that it's... Something doesn't like me reading this stuff. And then, I'd go, okay, sorry, spirits, let me watch Faces of Death here. It's not paranormal. And actually, that's an interesting thing. I can watch horror movies that are about serial killers. But when it comes to supernatural elements, demons and ghosts and all that stuff, the movies seem to be creepier. I have a lower threshold for the loud noises and all of that stuff. A couple weeks ago, and I don't even remember what the movie was. It was a horror movie, though. I was over at Sabine's house. I was watching this horror movie. And again, so this is where we go to that idea of what you can observe and what you feel. It's probably 2 in the morning. The only light that's on is the bathroom light, because I'm not going to sit there in the dark. I don't even sit in my own place in the dark. Bathroom light is on, but the rest of the house is dark. There's a particular bedroom behind me that I always shut that door. When she goes to bed and I'm going to stay up late, I shut that door. It's directly behind me. It's not that I feel the room is extra creepy or anything like that, but I don't like that door being open when I'm the only one out there. And a couple weeks ago, I was watching a horror movie, and I don't remember which one it was. I tried kind of looking through my Amazon history. I couldn't nail it down. But I'm watching the horror movie, and I got the feeling. I can't say I totally observed it, because when I turned and looked, there was nothing there. But while I was watching this horror movie on my laptop, at 2 in the morning at Sabine's house, I got the feeling that somebody was standing right next to me. But it was not that they were just standing next to me. I'm sitting in a chair, right? This person, this entity, whatever it is, was actually crouched down. So their face is the same level as mine. And while I'm staring at the screen watching the movie, I got the distinct impression it was a woman, was staring directly at me. And it was such an obvious feeling, and it almost felt visual, that I would turn and I would look, and there was obviously nothing there. But then I would turn back and I'd watch the movie, and a few moments would pass, not long, and again I would get the distinct impression that someone is crouched down, inches from my face, staring at me as I'm watching this movie. So I shut the movie off. I'm not an idiot, right? I'm like, I'm going to yawn super loud. I'm going to turn my head towards this invisible phantom and yawn. Open my wide gullet. It can slide on in. No, I shut the movie off. It's kind of unsettling. Again, I don't remember what the horror movie was, but whatever it wasn't as creepy as that. But I didn't see it. I felt it. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I didn't smell it. It was just an impression that I got. But let's take a look at what happened last night, and really this morning as well. I finally got around to watching that movie, The Mummy. Not the Brendan Fraser one, the new one. I think it's called Lee Cronin's The Mummy because it's the director. I only knew 2 things going into it. There'll be very mild spoilers for this. And I really enjoyed it. I haven't finished it yet, and I'll explain why. I knew 2 things going into it. It was body horror, which is not what I expected. I saw a couple of reviews talk about how grotesque the movie is. And it really is a body horror movie. The other thing I knew about it was critics and viewers, when they were rating the movie, they would say, this is not a mummy movie. This is not a mummy movie as you would think a mummy movie would be. You imagine certain things are going to happen in a mummy movie. The same way if you had a movie about a vampire and it was called The Vampire, but it turns out there's not a vampire. There's a demon possessing a guy and he doesn't even drink blood. You'd be like, what? I mean, because you know what to expect, what a vampire is. I knew that going in. So it was probably about 1 a.m, and I fired up The Mummy. Really good movie. Really good movie. It's not a mummy movie. It's a demon movie. It's all about demonic possession. It's very reminiscent of a movie like The Omen, where it's about a demon. Yes, I mean, there is someone wrapped in bandages, but you don't never see it. You find out that the mild spoiler, and it was quite disgusting, this little girl's skin is the bandage. At one point, half of the skin on her leg slides off while they're cutting her toenails, because she's dissolving, right? She's a decaying human that they think is still alive. When the dad takes her skin down to the basement for some reason, I don't know why he did it, he was looking at it, and he noticed there was writing on the inside of her skin. And he peeled the skin apart into several layers, and it was this language that was older than hieroglyphics, called hieratic or something like that. It's a really cool movie because you have the mystery angle of it, what happened to her. Not just that you're like, well, it's a demon, you already told us it's the demon, but no, there's more to it. What happened to her and why, and then you have the paranormal part of it, the real creepy body horror, like child-centered body horror. I've never seen a movie like this. Watching kids melt. And so, I'm watching this movie. Jason, yeah, maybe shut off the demon movie, the body horror movie where kids fall apart. I'm watching this movie. It's like 2 a.m. Now it's closer to 3. I'm really into it. It's good. I'm all cheering. I'm like, rip off the skin. Rip off the skin. Sabine's like, can you, just leave? Really good movie. I haven't finished it yet, but what I've seen so far is really good. What happened, though, I started it around probably 1:32. I watched the first hour of it, and it's getting creepy. I'm not tired at all, but I should probably go to bed. Didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, didn't even get any sort of weird feelings. It just felt, the movie was getting creepier and creepier. Now I realize it's a demon, and so I go, I'll finish watching it tomorrow. Well, the next morning I woke up about 5. I didn't get much sleep. I mean, who knows? Who would have thought that movie could give you nightmares if you watch a 10-year-old girl rip her own teeth out? Sorry for all the spoilers. I'm sitting there. It's a good movie, though. I'm sitting there, and it's like 5:30 in the morning. The sun is up. The cats are waiting to be fed. I go and sit down, and I put on my headphones, and I start watching The Mummy from where I left off. I maybe get 20 minutes in, and I feel, not as in an emotional feeling, I feel the floor move. I feel the vibrations of somebody walking up behind me. And I think Sabine is up. So I turn and I look. There's nobody there. I turn back. I'm watching The Mummy. A moment or two passes. I feel the floor vibrate as if someone is walking up behind me. And then it repeats. And then it repeats. And then it repeats. It's not someone walking back and forth. I can feel the floor move as if someone is walking towards me, and then the phenomenon restarts. I hear it back from that door that I always keep shut. It's from that area walking towards me, stopping, and then it starts back at the door walking towards me and stopping. And I'm thinking maybe it's some wildlife under the house. Maybe it's some cats because it's early in the morning. Everything's kind of waking up. The phenomenon keeps repeating. This all happens in a matter of probably like 5 minutes. Because at first I brush it off. First I think Sabine woke up, still watching the movie. Then it happens a few more times and I'm kind of thinking, what could be causing that? What could be causing that? I said, I probably have a pretty good idea of what's causing that. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It's very, very grotesque and dark and evil, this movie. And now, that's not criticism. Those aren't criticisms. I can't wait to finish it. Serial killer movies, nothing. I don't get any weird feelings of it. House. Sci-fi, nothing. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I go, there's a real easy way to test if this is a normal phenomenon. Something's under the house and it's moving in such a way that it sounds like someone's walking and the floor is vibrating. That slight shake of a floor in a house, that's an old house. And I sit at that chair for hours, a couple times a week, because I'm working on stuff, editing at her house, or I'm playing video games, or I'm watching movies over there. I shut The Mummy off. I go, there's a real easy way to test this. And it really wasn't even testing it. I was kind of just doing what the house was telling me to do at that point. But again, I don't like, submitting to ghostly desires. I think that can lead you down a pretty dangerous path. It was more of like, it's probably not a good idea. The sun is up, but apparently last night I just got a creepy vibe. At this point, the movie's gotten way grosser and way more vile in just the 20, 30 minutes I was watching that morning from when I left off at night. I paused the movie and it was very interesting. I paused the movie and it was such a creepy visual. The little mummy girl was peeking out of like a treasure chest or something like that. You just saw her eyes. It was very creepy. If you're going to stop a movie anywhere in a haunted house, is probably the worst image. I stopped the movie. I clicked over to the YouTube tab and I had a video pulled up ready to go that I didn't watch the night before. And it was something along the lines of father rapes his kid. Jason, we shouldn't watch this at any house. It was a courthouse. Let me back up. Jason, let me back up. That came out wrong. A true crime. It was this video of a man being sentenced for this horrible crime, and it was completely like the worst crime possible. Dad rapes his own daughter, hopes for probation, gets life instead. That was like the title of it. This is a real video from a real courthouse, and you're watching a man who did an unspeakable thing to his own child. It's bad enough if it's anyone's kid. His own child, though. I go from The Mummy to that. The noise completely stops. The vibrations completely stop. The phenomenon is not replicated at all. And it had repeated itself so many times in a row that to just click off one movie and go to a truly horrific crime video, that was okay. Isn't that fascinating? From just a paranormal point of view. Because here's the thing, I know that The Mummy's fake, and as much as I believe in the paranormal, The Mummy is so over the top, I've never ever heard or even had a hint of a case like that movie could ever be. And I'm not even done with it, I just imagine it's only going to get worse. Then I clicked to a video of a real man committing a real crime, which to me is 1,000 times more horrific than any fictional horror film. Even if it was a movie about the same type of crime, it was still fake. I'm watching this guy. Phenomenon completely stopped. Instantly. So I don't know how to read that, it's... If I picked some random neutral video, you could go, oh, the house only wants you to watch nice things. The house, or whatever resides there, and I think it's probably multiple spirits there, they don't like demonic stuff. They don't like supernatural stuff. I'll be honest, I'm not brave or foolish enough to watch a Bizarre Bub real ghost compilation video there. I won't watch those there. I wouldn't watch videos that are playing like EVPs or like, seances and stuff like that. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like the paranormal stuff, supernatural stuff, demonic stuff. I think it was annoyed that I was watching it. On the other hand, though, because I told Sabine about it in the morning, I said, part of me thinks it could be curious about what I'm watching. And you're like, Jason, no, you're just trying to make an excuse so you can watch The Mummy. over there. I go, on the one hand, I've thought in the past when I've been watching a particular movie, I go, I think whatever's here might be curious as to what I'm watching. But this one, this time, it wanted me to stop that movie. And again, I didn't know it was demonic. There's incantations in the movie, sacrifices, rituals in the movie, which is not anything I really expected there. I will finish the movie tonight. Unless the last 20 minutes really sucks, I'd probably get a Dead Rabbit Radio recommends from me. I really enjoy it, which is hard to say a body horror movie starring children, but yeah, I just thought it was super interesting. I clicked, and again, I didn't plan it that way. I didn't go, okay, I'm going to find the most vile video on YouTube. It was ready to go. I was going to watch it earlier while I was playing Minecraft, the courtroom video, and then I go, I'll throw in The Mummy instead. You know how you kind of bounce around from entertainment to entertainment. It was just ready to go on YouTube. I put no thought into it. I literally went over to YouTube and the tab was ready to go, and I hit play, and it's this horrific court case playing out. The phenomenon completely stopped. So I think the house doesn't like paranormal stuff. Real human horribleness. I'm not saying it's okay with that. I'm not saying that it's okay with that crime. I'm just saying that didn't concern it the same way as a movie with rituals in it and demon and imagery and actual demons in the movie. Super fascinating. Now, here's the thing. As a paranormal researcher, am I going to go over to her house and replicate that? No, I'll say this, not intentionally, right? I imagine the same thing will probably happen in the future. I'll put in a movie and I'll expect it to be one type of movie, and then it turns into a super demonic film. Like, I think it's going to be a sci-fi movie, and it's something on the level of Event Horizon. I'm not going to switch this if you haven't seen that. I highly recommend that movie, but I'm not going to test it. It's not my house. It's her house. I don't live there. I'm not going to open a bottle that I, one, don't really know how to cork again, and two, don't understand how dangerous it actually could be. It doesn't feel dangerous. You know what I mean? It's not my place. If it was my house, I still might not test it. As a paranormal researcher, I do want to relax when I go to bed. So, no, I just thought it was an interesting story, kind of an interesting thing, and it just happened last night. The paranormal researcher in me, and you may be going, no, Jason, you should test this. Here's the thing. I believe that the place is haunted. I don't have to prove anything to myself. Right? It's not that I have to test it. The test is that it's haunted. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. It won't be the last. I'll put those episodes in the show notes. But yeah, fascinating though. I respected whatever that was. It wasn't following its orders or anything. But I respected it didn't want me to watch that movie. Instead, I could watch horrible true crime videos, but I think the house saw that as less of a threat. Or just even less annoying. I'm watching it with headphones on, but, nobody wants to see that. No, I mean, nobody wants to see that. The movie did pretty well at the box office, so a lot of people did want to see that. But a lot of people didn't know what they were getting into. They thought it was a mummy movie. And instead, they watched a 17-year-old girl's skin come off. And that was not the worst. I just keep referencing that because anything else I say will be grosser and give away too much of the movie. Bull Balls, that actually took a bit longer. This is pretty normal for the show. That took a bit longer for me to tell. So that middle story about the sourdough bread recipe, we're going to save that for the next episode. You're all sitting there in your chef outfit. You're like, oh my God, this is so horrific. True crime. Oh no, the girl's teeth are coming out. But at least he's going to give me a new sourdough recipe. We'll save that episode for later in this week. That segment for later in this week. Some of you guys might even know what I'm talking about because it has been in the media lately. And it's kind of related to the first story. But Bull Balls, let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the world-famous Carpenter Copter. We're saying goodbye to Hood River. Why don't you fly us all the way out to a giant, yawning mouth. Oh. Bull Balls is flying the Carpenter Copter, and we see on the horizon is just this giant woman's mouth. But it's her head, too. Is that more or less creepy? It's the size of the horizon. The sun is being blotted out by this giant woman's head. And you're like, how is it not affecting the gravitation of Earth? And I go, I don't know. A lot of weird questions. And they're only going to get weirder. Bull Balls, fly this Carpenter Copter straight ahead. You sure, boss? Yes, thanks for calling me boss, but you won't get paid. You don't get a paycheck. Go ahead and keep flying the Carpenter Copter. We're going into her mouth. Okay. In the woman's mouth, those big, luscious lips, each one the size of continents. We see a giant tongue begin to extend. Damn, Jason, is this a fetish? It's a fetish, right? It's a fetish one. Yeah, this is nuts. We're flying past the tongue, over the lips and through the tongue. Wait, what is it again? Over the lips and past the tongue. Watch out, stomach. Here I come as the Carpenter Copter flies down her gullet into her hot, steamy stomach. Now, we've talked a lot about vor on this podcast before. If you're not familiar with that term, it's this fetish people have of being swallowed alive. Sometimes there's like subsections of it where it gets violent, like they want to actually be bitten in half. But the true vor purist, because that's cannibalism, that's an actual vor. Vor is where you're swallowed whole and you slide down their esophagus and you feel like all of the muscles on the side of their like body and stuff like squeezing you and squishing you. You're like, no, I don't want to get swallowed by you. Why'd you fly the Carpenter Copter directly into her mouth? Bull balls. Who's your boss? Who gave you that order? You slide down the wet, slimy throat. You just feel compressed and hugged on every side. You thought it actually was going to be way worse, but it's kind of like you're getting hugged by a flesh tube. And then you slide out of that and you're like, wee! Point, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. You're all covered in digestive fluid. You're like slowly getting melted away. Whee! You're going through her digestive system and then you land in her stomach. In most vor fantasies, you die one of three ways. You suffocate because you're in a giant stomach. There's no oxygen in there. You're actually dissolved by the juices. Or you just kind of live in there for a bit. You make her stomach nice and big and balloony, and then over time you are slowly digested. It's not like an immediate thing. It's super weird fetish. It's one of those fetishes that I personally don't understand. I don't get it. But we've talked about vor on this show before. However, we're going over the next 2 episodes, and possibly 3, we're going to take a look at some of the most disturbing vor accounts out there, I would say. This first one actually isn't super disturbing, but your mileage may vary. I might use terms you've never heard of before. I almost didn't cover this story, not because it was so gross, but I go, oh, everyone knows this story. This one's real famous. And then I thought about it, and I go, Jason, I don't think most people, if you ask someone, what's the most famous anal vor story you've ever heard? What is that? What is anal vor? Because, yeah, it's a good question, right? It's a good question. So, this is all about power and sex and domination and getting squeezed and hugged and devoured. But it is a sexual fetish. People get off to this. And, there are all sorts of reasons. A lot of times people develop fetishes because a wire gets crisscrossed at a pivotal moment in their life. I'll post all this stuff in the show notes, but I was reading this interesting article. This one person said, I grew up reading the fairy tales and watching the fantasy movies, and they were always about these big beasts trying to eat people, whether it was the big bad wolf or a fire-breathing dragon or a whale. The idea of getting swallowed was a constant threat, but at the same time in some of these stories, it was a kiss that would save the day. So your wires get crisscrossed. You can't make the difference between the romanticism of a kiss that can wake a sleeping princess or the wide mouth of a whale trying to swallow Pinocchio. It's getting crisscrossed. Very interesting, right? Whenever you look at fetishes, if you're talking to someone who has a fetish, and a lot of times they can pinpoint when it started. Obviously, furries, a lot of it comes from Disney cartoons. Nowadays, I think furries is a self-perpetuating machine, where you have people become furries because they see the furry fandom. But that first wave, probably the first 2 or 3 waves of furry culture, furry fandom, Robin Hood, the Disney cartoon Robin Hood gets brought up a lot, Maid Marian, and she was very attractive. To be fair, Maid Marian and Robin Hood was very attractive for an anthropomorphic fox. I think they were foxes, right? You're like, Jason, don't pretend you don't know. You clearly have a poster of Maid Marian on your wall. You're looking at it right now. So, it's really interesting. Why would you develop a fetish like that? But then even, you listen, we can sit down, you can tell me about your vor fetish and go, yeah, it's probably because these fairy tales I heard as a kid. But how do you develop an anal vor fetish? I can kind of get where you're saying, this one person said the idea of being swallowed and compressed on all sides by a big fleshy tube, it would make me feel like being in a soft hammock. Yeah, I mean, you can go buy one of those, not a fleshy tube. You can go buy a hammock, throw a couple pillows in it. If you want to get a boner from it, hey man, that's on you. I wouldn't want to be swallowed by anything. But anyways, so, I'm all like, but maybe Maid Marian, maybe a 60-foot Maid Marian. I can't really wrap my head around the vor fetish, but you can tell me how it started, and it can kind of make sense to me. You got your wires crossed, but that's not the only type of vor out there. There's also, it's related to all sorts of body parts. Any body part you could possibly imagine can be used to devour you. You're like, what? No, only the mouth. Well, there's more, right? There's at least a few more. And one of those is the butthole. And there is a whole subset of the vor culture called anal vor. And that's where you're stuffed up someone's butt, and then you go up through the intestines, I guess. I mean, that takes more effort on your part. You're like, oh man, that's a long walk. What is it, like every human body has 30 miles of intestine? I'm gonna take a little nap. You're sleeping in there, you cause a huge blockage. Robin Hood's trying to jam an arrow up there, trying to dislodge her. She's like, ow, ow. That's horrible imagery. But anyways, you get shoved up the butt, you end up in the same spot, you end up in the belly. It just seems like way more work, right? I mean, this is easy to test. I want you to go swallow a piece of meat, shove one up your butt, and see which gets to your stomach first. But it's a fetish. People want to get shoved up people's buttholes. Super bizarre. I can't understand that at all. To be fair, I'm not saying I can totally get where vor's coming from, but I'm saying it's easier for me to understand. But I still think it's super bizarre, right? Because I'm looking at my giant photo of Maid Marian's mouth. Oh, that was the other thing. So, this is a fetish you can't really replicate in the real world. So there's two ways to fulfill it. One, there is adult entertainment, i.e. porn, of this. And I did find, listen, man, I'm not one to surf these websites. When I was trying to figure out stuff about vor, why did that even pop in your head? Why were you even talking about this? At what point were you watching The Mummy and you're like, oh, this reminds me of something? I was looking stuff up. There's just series of videos there's one in particular, I forgot what her name is. I can't really put it in the show notes because they might take down the episode because you can't link to porn. But I'll play an audio clip for you. But let me set it up a bit here. This is like a minute-long trailer for a longer series. And in the sound clip you're about to hear as you're racing to turn the podcast down, your boss is walking in. Hey guys, what's up? Oh, listening to a podcast I hear. Well, your boss, will sit here and listen to it with you. The clip I'm about to play you, it's a woman who's holding a Ken doll or something like that. And she is going to swallow him. He's supposed to be a real guy. That would be impressive. Watching someone swallow a Ken doll whole, which doesn't actually swallow it. But the Ken doll's supposed to be alive. It's not actually supposed to be a doll. And she's holding it, and she's like, ooh, you taste delicious. Feel free to clip that and use that as your new ringtone. And set it for when your boss calls you. But anyways, she swallows the guy, and then it cuts to her wearing this huge fake belly, like a huge fake pregnant belly suit. It's like Shallow Al. But she's sitting there, she's like, oh, you're in my stomach. Oh. And it's like a minute or 2 minutes. You're like, any second, 10 seconds would be too long. Of a trailer that you can watch the whole video. I haven't watched the whole video. I just saw a couple of these trailers and thought they were hilarious. And so I'm going to play one for you. But this is one of the ways, if you have this fetish, that this can be indulged in.
Do you like what you see? You're on the menu, little man. My stomach walls start gripping you. Stinky, dirty pile of filth coming out of my perfect ass. Bye.
I mean, fine, whatever. I think it's weird. But, You're not trying to swallow me. I'm not super worried about it happening to me. I turn away from the mic, I wipe a tear away. It's like, oh, if only it could happen to me, please. It's weird, though, right? I mean, I guess they use toys in porn videos anyways, but this is kind of different. It's kind of a different type. She's pretending as a real person, and so people can watch this type of content, and they can get off to that, but you can't really replicate it in real life. They're jealous of those cannibals, because they can, right? You can cook and eat a human, not recommending it, but it can happen. You can't be swallowed by a 60-foot woman, or you can't even be swallowed by a 5-foot woman, because you can't shrink. You can't be hit with a shrink ray or whatever the setup is for these videos. So the other option people do is they do a little bit of online role-playing, but, let me pull this article up. Let me give a credit to the author. I didn't know I was going to talk so much about this particular author. Give me 1 second here. I think it was for Vice, but I'm going to double-check. It was a super weird article, not only because it was talking about Vore, but it was also a stealth advertisement for the movie Venom. It's like, why do they keep bringing up Venom? Yeah, it was for Vice magazine. It was written by Richard Greenhill. Yeah, it says he's interviewing these different people. They're all young. The oldest one is 27. Quote, to find out how they first got into Vore, what they enjoy about it, how they integrate it into their erotic lives, and what they think about Venom. Unquote. And he keeps bringing up the movie Venom the whole time. And even the last question is like, oh, what do you think about Venom? Do you think the movie Venom will have an effect on the broader public perception of Vore? They say no. All of them said no. So I think he just really liked Venom. That was his fetish. He was interviewing these people, and one of the people said, I have told I think it's his wife, about his Vore fetish, about being swallowed. Obviously, they can't replicate it, but he goes, sometimes she'll lean really close into me and yawn, and I can actually see her ulvula. Is that how you pronounce it? The little gross thing hanging in the back of your throat. And that gets some, good to go. It's disgusting. That's gross. It's gross. I keep saying it's okay, but it's still disgusting. He can look into the back of his wife's throat and he'll imagine himself falling in. He goes, sometimes when they're having sex, she'll open her mouth super wide and he'll pretend to fall in. Right? I mean, whatever. I mean, listen, hats off to your imagination. I have to concentrate. I have to concentrate the entire time. I can't lose focus. If my mind starts wandering, who knows? I'm just going to roll over and fire up the laptop. Hey, sorry, honey, I got to finish The Mummy. I only rented it for 48 hours. I got to check it. I got to check out this ending. I mean, hats off if you can daydream during the whole process. I've never been able to. But this idea of, that's how you would replicate it. I don't want anyone looking down my throat. Anyways, they're just Vore in general is kind of a Vore overview. And then you have the subset of anal Vore. This is a group of people who want to be swallowed by the butthole. And that brings us to the most famous anal Vore story on the internet. If you guys have heard it before, you're shaking your head and your boss is like, hey, turn it up. This podcast is awesome. Plus, you guys are all fired. This totally violates every HR rule, but I gotta hear this world famous anal Vore story. So, we're gonna take a look at the story of this guy. We're gonna call him Ernie. We don't have his real name. He did post this online on a forum known as Arion, aka X Portal, Elka's Portal. It's a big Vore site. I think it also has furry stuff in there. What those two communities do crisscross. You have the predator and the prey. Those are the terms that are often used as, same with top or bottom or dom and sub. Anyways, we're going to take a look at this guy. His name's Ernie. He says he's in his early 20s. And he said, if you ever asked me who I was, he says, quote, the first thing I would instantly say is I'm an anal Vore fanatic. You do not have permission to clip that audio. That's copyright Jason. I am an anal Vore fanatic. That's the one thing, if anyone goes, hey man, tell me something about yourself, which makes you leery to ever ask that question again. Anyone who ever does a job interview, they're all sweating. They're like, oh no, all these easy questions have become immeasurably hard now. That's the thing. That's what defines him. He loves anal Vore. He loves the idea of being swallowed by other people's buttholes. So, because it's such a part of him. People have said, a very few minority, not a lot, but people have said this story's not true. And there's not proof that it's true, but the way that it was posted in the... And so he goes, what he figured out, what he wanted to do was to come out to his friends and family about being an anal vor fanatic. Maybe leave off the word fanatic, maybe leave off the word anal, I don't know. But he wants to tell his friends and family that he's really into anal vor, which, here's the thing, whatever, dude, I don't think it's wise. He's going to learn that soon enough. But, some things should remain private. My mom and dad don't know about my Maid Marian fetish. They did always wonder why I watched the movie so much. The tape wore out. But, some stuff probably your grandpa shouldn't find out. One of those things being that you're an anal vor fanatic. Well, Ernie goes, I gotta tell everyone about this. It's such a beautiful part of my life. So what he does is he schedules a party where his family is there, invited. So his parents and his grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, 3 of his cousins, and a few of Ernie's personal friends are invited over to this party. Some people say that this story is fake, and other people go, no, trust me, this story is real. I think you want to think it's fake because you go, no one could be this stupid. But, if you are in an echo chamber and you only hang out with other anal vor fanatics, and that's all you ever talk about, you're going to assume that people who don't know about it will probably like it once they hear about it. I think that would probably be a pretty wise assumption if that's all you ever talked about. But anyways, he invites his grandpa and grandparents and the aunts and uncles over, and so he decides to tell them that he's into anal vor. Now, how would you go about that? You're like, I wouldn't, because I'm not into it. But let's just hypothetically say the universe will explode. You'll be alive, though. And you have to pull your own teeth out. You have the mouth of a 10-year-old girl. You have to pull your own teeth out every minute till the end of time. You could choose that. Or host a party where you have to tell your friends and family that you're an anal vor fanatic. How would you handle that? I wouldn't, but if the universe was in jeopardy, I would invite them over and I would say, hey guys, I just had to tell you all. They're like, what? You have the mouth of a 10-year-old girl. My hands are all bandaged, so I won't pull out the teeth. I was like, listen, I gotta tell you this real quick, or you're all gonna die. The existence is gonna be wiped. I want to tell you guys that I'm an anal vor fanatic. And then just leave, right? That's it. My normal mouth comes back. The universe is saved. If you wanted to come out that you want to be absorbed in other people's buttholes, the best way to do it is to not tell them specifically what it is. Just say, I'm into anal vor. Who wants popcorn? Right? And if someone goes, what's anal vor? You go, look it up, Grandpa, but don't do it while you're here. Let's all enjoy this popcorn. No, Ernie goes, again, he's in an echo chamber. He thinks that everyone will find this totally normal. He invites all these people over and he hands each of them an envelope. And he goes, okay, everyone, don't open the envelopes just yet. We have a night of fun, party stuff. But as you guys each have an envelope, I want to tell you something. Ernie, I'm into anal vor. He leaves out fanatic. He gives me a little wink from the corner. I was like, good job. He goes, I'm into anal vor. And of course, everyone's like, what? That would be the best way to resolve this problem. Then he goes, open up your envelopes, everybody. I got a little gift for each of you. And everyone opened up their envelopes. And then you're like, what could it be? A letter explaining what anal vor is? Webster's Dictionary? A Wikipedia article? Each envelope contained a drawing that he commissioned from a artist that he knew of Ernie being sucked up into a butthole. But not just any butthole. The grandpa got a drawing of him sucking Ernie up into his butthole. Mom and dad got personalized drawings of them. He's getting pulled in 2 directions. Ah! He's like a noodle as they're both bent over. This is the part of the story that people go, this is clearly fake. This is clearly fake. But I 100% believe that someone would be so clueless to not know this was a terrible idea. I mean, it's funny. It's actually an amazing prank. I should do that the next time I do a live speaking engagement. Hey everyone, welcome to the Poor Gamble Ghost Conference. Before we get started, a whole 300 of you have an envelope taped underneath your chair. Open it up. The friends, the family, they all had individual drawings. I don't know how detailed they were. The artist was Rob Liefeld. And at this point, you know, you had two groups of people. You have the people with the pitchforks and the people with the torches. No, you know, the cousins and the friends thought it was a joke. They started laughing. But Grandpa got really mad, right? He's like, my butthole's not that big. Ernie, I fought in 2 world wars, and this is how you repay me? By giving me a massive butthole? No, Grandpa, I'm tiny in that picture. Grandpa got really mad. So did one of the uncles. So did his uncle. Kind of got furious at it. It's a hilarious joke. You know, so this is not going super well, right? Grandpa gets mad, and Ernie goes, okay, guys, so you guys each have those drawings. You guys can take those home and enjoy them in your own time. But now I want to show you something, right? So he pulls out his laptop, and he hooks it up to the HDMI cable and begins showing them his favorite photos or drawings, right, from Eka's portal. That's how it's pronounced. I was looking for the pronunciation earlier, which is now known as Arion. It shows them, these are my favorite sites. These are my favorite photos. Now, I did go to this website, obviously, because I got to figure out what I'm talking about. It's just cartoons of people getting devoured or foxes with big bellies. I'm like, oh, save that to my folder. You know, or people being sucked up into people's buttholes. Sometimes it's not just a butthole. They have nipple vor, where people are being sucked into nipples. They have a thing called unbirthing, where instead of coming out of the birth canal, you as an adult are sucked up into a woman's birth canal, which was funny because I remember a long time ago I watched this old horror movie called Campfire Tales. Some of you have probably seen it. It was an anthology of Western-themed horror stories. And the second one, I remember I was like, what? So this is the first time I'd ever seen anything like this. This is back like in 1992. I was watching it, and there's like a woman on the trail, like a wagon, and then there's like a guy shows up, and I don't remember if he was a bad guy or a good guy or whatever. I just remember the ending of that short story. They start having sex, and then he starts screaming, and he gets sucked up inside of her, and then they show her with a big pregnant belly, and she's like, oh, yes. Yes, we'll have a good journey together. Now, I honestly, like, looking back on that, I dodged a bullet, right? I watched that long after my sexual development. I had to have been, like, 16 or 17. Yeah, 92, I would have been, like, 15, 16. If I had watched that movie when I was 12, because she was a very attractive woman, and it's this steamy sex scene. It has all the elements of a fetish being developed, and then it turns into this horrific thing, and she gets pleasure from sucking this man up inside of her, this unbirthing. Dodge the bullet. You really, like, that's how fetish is developed. Because you would have that mixed signals. I'm looking at something that is sexually arousing, but I'm getting this weird element added in. I just thought, what a weird... I don't even remember the other 2 stories, and to be honest, I barely remember anything about that. That ending is so bizarre. I'll see if I can find it on YouTube, but they'll call it unbirthing. That's another version of this. You're sucked up through the vagina, through the birth canal. Anyways, back to Ernie and his anal vor. He's showing them photos on Eka's portal. Now that everybody's mad, right? They don't want to be looking at this explicit... I don't even know, like, again, I was looking at thumbnails and stuff like that. I don't know if it's technically considered pornography because it's just like pictures of cartoon bears patting their stomach going, you'll have a nice nap in me. It's like, is that porn, right? I mean, if that's porn, then what isn't porn? But yeah, and then I'm sure there's more graphic stuff there, but it's just like a guy getting sucked up into a butthole, right? So, I mean, okay, that is porn, right? It's a very graphic depiction. It's almost a 3D rendering. This guy used CAD to develop the butthole detail. But at this point, people are really mad. And he says, quote, This is where the party kind of took a turn for the worse, unquote. Because one of his uncles gets super mad at him, starts arguing with him, while his wife, Ernie's aunt, is like, oh, honey, I mean, yeah, it's super weird. It is super weird, but you're just taking it out on him. You love looking down my throat when I yawn. This isn't about us, Margaret. This is about this kid and this drawing that I'm going to put in my pocket, but pretend to rip up and enjoy it later. It totally devolves into not chaos, but arguing. It's not going the way that he wanted to. And he goes, okay, I'm just going to keep showing this stuff, because he is under the impression that they just don't know about it. If they knew what it was, they would not necessarily join in Grandpa Drops His Trousers. This is what we did to the Krauts in World War I. That's why they had those pointy helmets. We absorbed them with our buttholes until they had those pointy helmets. That changed the war, son. You would have, people would be upset. Even if you explained it to them, you don't want that. You don't want a picture of yourself eating your grandson with your butthole. And so people began to leave. However, his friends and his cousins, some of his friends and some of his cousins stuck around. Ernie was a little heartbroken. He thought it was going to go better. And he just goes, if only they had stayed and I was able to tell them more about it, they'd not necessarily be into it and join me, but they would understand that this is a big part of me. It's important to me. He said he had a party game planned where they read an interactive Vor story. And he tried doing that, but the remaining people, who were all young, he goes, I guess young people are just more accepting of this type of thing. He goes, they don't want to read it, right? He goes, so I was reading the story myself, but then they just started talking about stuff not related to anal vor. So he just kind of gave up. He said at that point, they put on a movie, and every so often he'd bring up the topic again, but they didn't want anything to do with it. They don't want to hear any more about anal vor. Ernie finishes his account by saying, quote, did I do anything wrong? Should I try to do the party again? Because I think they may have interpreted my interest wrong, unquote. So again, he's just not understanding that this is very, very disgusting and off-putting for a majority of people, not just his family, but just people in general. You can only have fetishes that are so weird. Like as a society, I think we've kind of accepted the foot fetish. But getting sucked up into someone's butthole is just a bridge too far for most people. I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong. I'm not saying that. I think it's kind of gross. It's off-putting. Would I stop being your friend if I found out you were an anal vor fanatic? Probably not, right? I mean, I'd be like, every time I met you, I'd be looking to see if he had an envelope. I'm all, oh man, he doesn't have an envelope. I've been this guy's friend for 4 years. Where's my commission drawing from Rob Liefeld of me sucking this guy into my butthole? I wouldn't stop being your friend because of it. It would be odd, though, right? Whenever I'm talking to you, you're getting real close. When I'm watching a movie, you're leaning right next to my head, opening, I scream, ah! The horror movie, you can look into my mouth real quick. It would be odd. Here's the thing. I'm sure that I've had friends who have had completely disgusting fetishes throughout my life, but I don't know about them. So I'm totally fine with it. But if you were telling me, hey, Jason, I gotta have a confession for you. I'm an anal vor fanatic. It's what I'm into. Like, my reaction would be like, my reaction would be, why are you telling me this? Like, whatever, bro, but, like, are you trying to get me in on this? Or is that why you tied me up? And you built this giant replica of Porky Pig, and you're sliding me down his mouth? I wondered what was up with this. Yeah, if you experience it, you'll only know the pleasures. The pleasures of being swallowed. I was like, what? I was like, you could at least had a woman swallow me, not a Porky Pig. There's nothing arousing about this at all. As I'm putting my hands over my crotch, I was like, no, nothing at all. You could at least gotten a giant Maid Marian statue. No, he's sliding me into a Porky Pig's mouth. And I'm going down the esophagus like, ooh, this is kind of comfortable. It's like being surrounded by a bunch of cushiony hammocks, and I can hear Ernie outside, and I can hear my friend outside the giant Porky Pig statue yell, yeah, it's pretty nice in there, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, I could actually find this slightly erotic. It's very comforting. I feel swallowed. I feel complete and whole. I feel powerless. There's an erotic value to just submitting completely to Porky Pig. and his corkscrew-shaped penis. But as I'm going down, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Did you use satin pillows to build this esophagus? I did, my friend says from outside the Porky Pig. Then I start making I don't know the rest of the human body. As far as I know, the esophagus connects directly to the stomach. At least it does for me, because whenever I get heartburn, I start throwing up stomach acid. But I'm going down, I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool, like, I could actually see how people would get turned on by this. It's very comforting and kind of beautiful. And then I go, so at the end of this journey, I'm just going to slide out of the butthole, right? That's my friend goes, no, I wanted you to have the complete experience. I'm like, huh? Then I flash back when I went over to his house. I was like, dude, why do you have like 500 car batteries in your house? And what are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's this chemistry experiment. I had to take all the battery acid out. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Let me just bind you in rope and lead you into my Porky Pig themed sex dungeon. I was like, okay, whatever. And then he's like, yeah, remember those car batteries that were littering my living room? I wanted you to have the complete experience. So I filled this Porky Pig effigy full of battery acid. I'm all, no. And then I slide out of the comforting esophagus face first into gallons of battery acid. And I'm just screaming, But luckily the ropes melted off first. I was like, yay. I mean, I'm still doomed. It just means I can thrash around more. I can kick and flail more as I'm being dissolved. My friend outside is going, isn't that erotic? Don't you love it? Isn't that beautiful? You've been dissolved, dude. It's just my skeleton floating in the battery acid. But in the final moments, as this acid dissolved my eyeballs and ate away my flesh until it finally devoured my heart, I do have to admit, it was kind of a turn on. But instead of just having a boner, I'm nothing but bones. What? And that, sir, is my confessional. I was Ernie the entire time. I posted this years ago. This was my coming out story. No, some people are into this. Yes, Jason, you just went for several minutes detailed, and we can tell it was off the top of your head. No, I'm not. I'm not. But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. And if you thought this wasn't disturbing at all, tomorrow's episode is the disturbing one. This was the appetizer. Tomorrow is the Vor Feast. As we take a look, and you're like, nope, I'm skipping it. You can talk about it all you want at the end of this episode. I'm not going to listen to it. Tomorrow we're going to talk about, really for the first time, when a Vor fanatic is treated at a mental health clinic. So we get a clinical, experienced write-up about this particular fetish and how dark it can actually get. We'll take a look at that tomorrow on Dead Rabbit Radio. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys.